experience, helping us experience that part of ourselves that is brilliant or that is sacred. The blurb, a journey toward your sacred self, experienced by changing your relationship with love or changing our relationship with love. I like to say the sacred self is also the secret self. We have many secrets, many selves. In my tradition, John tells us that John records Jesus saying, I have come that you might have life and life more abundantly. Prior to that, he says, in my Father's house are many mansions or many dwelling places. And in our beginnings, and he encourages us to approach the world through that way, that style, and that fashion. So my interest in today is helping us learn how to get into that sacred and secret self. I think we have many of those things that are experienced in the multiplicity of relationships. Each of us have this special, unique ability to touch every soul in a way that only we can. It's a part of that God expression that allows us to experience more of God by experiencing more of ourselves. So we do this, and we can do this by changing our relationship with love. I'll be doing a series of readings from the book, and I'll expound on some of it if we have time before the 20 minutes is over and I have a timer set. But a few weeks ago, there was a big crave with one of the lotteries. In fact, in the last probably 4 months, the lottery, either Mega Millions or Powerball, has gone beyond $1 billion. And you can imagine going to a gas station or Kroger and seeing these long lines of people hoping that they could get this $1 billion win. I didn't buy a ticket. I would have bought a ticket. I just didn't want to stand in line. It just wasn't worth that much to me, but I can totally appreciate what $1 billion could do. And I had this thought about $1 billion breath, believing that life, this air I'm breathing, or this oxygen that's giving power and energy to my living existence, is worth more than any amount of money. Could we put a value on a breath? Even now, would I want to wait to win money or to work a job? Would I want to delay the beauty of this moment, the beauty of the God factor and the love factor that's emanating, that's exuding through me, through any of us, this moment? So I have this idea about the $1 billion breath. And today I think we'll talk a little bit about how we can listen into the silence and from the silence, and certainly listen for silence. Funny story. I think it's funny. I have a hat that I wear from time to time. It's one of my favorite hats. It's a leather hat. I got it a couple of years ago. But the other day it was raining, and I was leaving a birthday party, and a friend of mine said, aren't you gonna take that hat off before you go to the car? I had about 75 feet distance between me and the car. And I said, why would I do that? I said, I bought the hat to cover my head. I said, this is why this hat exists, so that I don't get wet. But I had this epiphany in the moment that we tend to have this experience of believing ourselves to be less valuable, less worthy than even the clothes we wear, or the homes we live in, or the vehicles we drive, or the jobs we have. Our net worth has been assigned to us by financial statements and balance sheets. And oftentimes it's difficult to get into the experience of just being. And I think this is perhaps one of the biggest values of the silence, is learning to be with what appears to be nothing. But we find that it is, in fact, more profound than anything. Every beautiful song emerged from the silence. It's where we hear it. Every beautiful work of art emerged from the silence. Our ability to see each other and to see ourselves. It's what's emerging from the place of possibility. This infinite soul of God that emerges into a world that does not yet exist, at least for our vision or our eyes. So from that, I'll read a little bit. This is from the book. It's a piece called I Am Love. Love says, come here. She comes to you first as yourself. She's the best option for hope, and he's living within you. Knowing you aren't yet awakened, we speak to you as a separate being, and we come as the apparition of another. This is just an illusion. I am in you, the best hope of realization. We are your glory, just waiting to be remembered. A person comes to your door. She wants to know you more. She waits for you to respond. She's knocked. She asks if you'll open the door. Otherwise, they won't come in. They won't make themselves at home so as to help you begin again. Who's there, you may ask? The response is love, but sometimes you call me by another name. And what name might that be? A slight grin, love says, your name is sufficient. I'd like to be born again. And this is a story of love in all places and love as all faces. Love comes to you first as yourself, asking to be at home in your body. Your mind says yes or no and gives license to such freedom, but oftentimes because we are afraid, we fail to see what is profoundly true, which is that love will offer itself through the face of another. Trusting love now becomes slightly more credible because we've been domesticated into believing ourselves to be incredible, unworthy, and insufficient to live as love in all moments. And if this fails, then love comes to the face or in the face of God, in all of God's accepted names. Because we believe love is so far beyond our own essence, we have rehearsed the belief that we can only trust what is not of us. We do this in an effort so that we can realize ourselves in the most beautiful experience. Seeing love as something which is not us gives an excuse to fail at love with impunity. We accept the idea that love can maybe live through us, but hardly ever live as us. Love is knocking, but you forgot her name. Love is knocking, but we forgot her face, and we became prejudiced, discriminating, and we just made things more complicated. So now when love shows her face, you can believe in God, but you can't believe in me. Why else would the one called Christ plead, if you believe in God, believe also in me? I'm grateful for my tradition, my spiritual tradition, although as I see the different expressions, the mystical expressions of truth and love, I see that there is a certain universality to how God shows up or how love shows up. Jesus would have said, when asked to pray, or when those ask, can you teach us to pray? I find it remarkably profound that he said, first, our Father. It's as though John sees Jesus, or Matthew saw Jesus, recognizing that we all begin together. God does not see itself as distinct from who we are, but we are on this discovery, learning more about who we are, the sacred self, the secret self, and even in our intimate relationships, we are oftentimes hiding ourselves, afraid of losing. We are connected to this notion of acquisition more so than I believe emergence. Love comes from us in ways more profound than I think it comes to us. Because we are the only one in each of our moments. We're the only ones we can't get rid of. Every one of us come, we fade, we're here for a minute, or an hour, or 20 years. But even in the subsections of all those moments, we, or you could say this of yourself, I am the only one in each of my moments. I am the one common denominator that is always present in each of my experiences, even in my experience with love, in my experience with the divine, in my experience with the sacred self. I want to know who I am. And so I was in a conversation yesterday. Someone came and their conversation was, I am not in a good place with love. Love is not cool. It just makes us do things we don't want to do. And I realized as she began to speak that she was talking about a type of love that we call obsession. In the Latin, it's mania. Mania, we call it mania. And in this particular culture in America, we tend to use so many translations, but all of them come back to the word love. And so often what I'll do is ask someone, what might happen if you said, I obsess over you, rather than saying I love you? How can you be, would you be better equipped, or would we be better equipped to be in a right relationship with someone who is that honest with us about their experience, their intention? You know, love and all these, from storge to phileo, eros, agape, lives on spectrums of innocence to pathology. And it's hard to imagine being in a right relationship with someone who is obsessing. We tend to see it when we talk about maybe chocolate cake. I love chocolate cake. And that seems innocent. Or I love you. And that's all wonderful, because what we're really saying is there's an undeniable experience of ecstasy and euphoria I get when I'm around you. That's what we're trying to say. We're trying to say that when I get to consume you, I have this wonderful feeling. The thing about consuming cake or a steak or whatever is that it is of no benefit to the cake or the steak. It's good, but there's a call to all different kinds of love. We expand our relationship with love. It's okay to be in right relationship with all of these things. I think personal honesty is where we start. I'll read something else. Coming from if you believe in God, I say to you, if you believe in God, believe also in you. Love knocks and speaks. Did I mention to you how much I love our conversations? If I haven't, this is something I'd really like you to know. I'll say it now. I really love our conversations. I love talking with you. I love listening too. My listening to you may even pale in comparison, but your voice, it's like medicine, it's therapy, it's faith. Conversations, yeah, they're like the air I breathe. I like breathing, it makes life easy. I don't even know how to speak these things to you without there being the slightest hint of trying to change you into something you're not, and especially something you wouldn't want to be. It's like bated breath, waiting with hopeful anticipation on a beauty promised but not realized. I wish I could help you breathe easy. Maybe this will become your testimony, but alas, it's not required to be. Know this: if I ever believe there's a way to speak, you can know I'm waiting. If I ever believe my ears have a chance for voice, you can know I'm waiting. If ever my eyes find sleep before I hear, in my dreams, I am awake and waiting. And if I awake again before I breathe again, I have risen and remembered I'm waiting. For God so loved the world that he gave you. I'm grateful for each of you. Last thing I'll say, and I'll stop talking. I think we've been right on the time. We can move into some moments of silence and reflection, or just the nothing, and see if we can find, I think, the music of our own life. Imagine living into a world as a symphony, or as an ode, or song, a poem, something where your breathing energy, your vibration just resonates life wherever you go. The world isn't just happening to you or for you. It's also happening from you. This is that divine space we can get into where we allow ourselves to be a gift without qualification. Too few of us know how to love without needing to be affirmed or supported in our efforts to love. Mindful love accepts without question the onus to present love in each moment, each new moment. All the moments change. Each moment is different from the last. Each breath is different from the last. This demands that love lives incessantly, organically, and formlessly. Love is so malleable that it can take the shape of every experience that presents itself. Love is fluid. And it is not so rigid that it remains in its original form. Why? Because each new choice changes the landscape of experience and reality. This phenomenon demands that love shifts into what's necessary to keep each moment whole. Whether we know this or not, each moment and each experience is pregnant with wholeness. Love is not here to create this. Love is here to extract this. Amen. Welcome back to the room.
Marquis, we have about 10 minutes. If anyone would like to share a reflection, a question, or comment, if you just kind of raise your hand, I'll try to. I think there's Annabelle, so I'll see if I can get you unmuted here.
Thank you so much, Marquis. You know, we live in such a broken world in terms of what we see or observe from our soul perspective. And I was thinking in my religious tradition what the word for love is. It is ahava. Ahava. And as I was meditating, I used the ah for the breathe in, bringing the breath in, and the ahava for the breath out, breathing love and compassion out into the broken world or the suffering world, however you want to look at it. But just love for all. And it gave me well, it gave me a lot of comfort to know that I can do that. You know, we all feel so helpless. And it gave me comfort to know that I can breathe in the love and, as you say, exude the love to the world. I'm just telling you that the experience. I'll probably spend quite a bit of time digesting it, but it gave me a really very open and loving, not just of myself, and I'm working on that, but loving all and loving the brokenness of the world. Just love it, period. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sister, may I make a comment? And
Absolutely. That's Christine. Thank you.
Marquis, thank you so much for that beautiful class of short class of what you've written. And I want to get your book now, but I had a comment, or actually sort of asking you to elaborate a little bit on a comment that you made about us being the only ones we can't get rid of. I love that concept. It's so true. And it puts it into perspective, how we are one with God and one with the universal presence of love. One of the things that I've been on my very tottering journey towards trying to become a much more aware and contemplative person is that one of the biggest things that soaked in for me was that we've always, or I have always felt like you need to get God in, get Christ in, get love in. But it dawned on me at some point that we are already just a sort of a permeable part of God and of the universe. And that's what that comment struck me when you said acquisition versus emergence, that we don't have to acquire God. We just have to let the love of God emerge from us. And that really struck me when you made that point. Would you elaborate just a little more on your concepts of that?
Yeah, absolutely. We introduced in what we call the economy of being. The first step in the economy of being is to look within. Love is to give from your strength into the life of another to help them optimize their reason for being is one way. We also say your capacity to love is without limit. And when you're challenged to not believe this, love anyway. I believe that the only way to love effectively is from a posture of wealth, needing nothing. And the concept of need suggests that we have to supply, but when we need nothing, we immobilize, or we break the power of fear. And in our tradition, I think Timothy would have said, perfect love casts out all fear. So to Annabelle's point in the ahava, to emerge into this breathing, this essence of there is always enough, it's imperative that we experience this part of ourselves so that when we move into spaces, we're not asking for acceptance, we're offering it.
Perfect. Thank you. That's beautiful.
I think, Eileen, did you raise your hand?
I did. I just, yeah, I really appreciate you being here, for all of you being here. But I think the thing that really struck me today, and when you said, one of the things you said was love comes from us more profoundly than it comes to us. It's been it's pretty early in the morning for it to be like me be so off track, but like that kind of reminded me of Thomas Keating's, like, what was it, like, the acceptance of our basic goodness is a quantum leap in our spiritual journey. And I struggle with that a lot. So I'm very grateful to be here.
Thank you.
And maybe you can tell us how to be better, because the world is a mess. We are a mess.
But not only that. And so I didn't touch on this in terms of loving like jazz. As a musician, it's easy. We pick up the piano and we all learn chopsticks. Bum, 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 bum. And so you got those 2-finger chords, and then you get the 3-finger chords, and all the different expressions. What I think jazz offers in an improvisational way. By that, improvisation means to accept the unknown or the unseen. So to be present with the way the world is emerging demands that we improvise in every moment, because I cannot predict how you will be an act of inertia upon my space. And we are all acts of inertia. So in that, in a scale, a triad, I have at least 3 different scale patterns I could play. That's 24 different notes just right there that are available. Well, there are only 13 notes, but there are 24 different patterns in terms of the scales. So I can change the mode. And the more I understand how much lives in the space of the music, whether it's a whole note, half note, quarter note, 8th note, 16th note, 32nd note, I can extract from that chord the more I am familiar with everything that's there. And this is what happens when we emerge from God. The psalm would have said, praise God in the firmament of its power. That's the expansion of it. Or, oh, magnify the Lord with me. Basically, a magnifier is it doesn't tell you, it doesn't put things into the sight line. It expands so that we can see more of what's there that's been already hiding. So the world is a mess, it seems, but it is not only that. And improvisation allows us to act upon the mess and to make it good. We have this capacity.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other reflections? Offerings?
I've been reading Neil Douglas Klotz, his recognition from his knowledge of Aramaic, but also the other Middle Eastern languages, Arabic and the Hebrew, that the word love means something that comes from within you, as if it comes from an inner womb, that it is so deep, and we are always giving birth to love from that deep inner womb. So it was like your breath, Annabelle, giving birth to love in your breath. That's my kind of contemplation on what you've said so beautifully this morning, Marcus. Thank you.
Welcome. Jane, did you have something? You're muted. You're muted, Jane.
Now I'm unmuted. I couldn't pull it back up. No, I just wanted to say that all of the comments and all that you've given to us has just been just perfection. And I feel, this enormous amount of love that comes from our Creator. And you've just brought this up. And thank you. Thank all of you for your comments, because I could relate to every word and everything that you were expressing. So it's been a beautiful moment. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What's the name of your book again, Marcus?
The name of the book is called The New Human.
New
The
Human.
when the people we love the people we love. There's the image on here is the tree, and I'll yield the mic back to Sister Deborah. But I think as we imagine the emergence, we've learned that there is an unavoidable disconnect from God. And so what the book is asking is for us to let that version of our world go and practice knowing that there is no way you can't be connected. You cannot help but be connected to God. So when you see love emerging, if you can see yourself as inextricably tethered to God, then you can let go of what could look like pride, like love is starting with me, because love starts with us, love starts with God. But God would not allow us to not have love exude through us. And that it's a part of the supply. It's just we are emerging from that root. And the tree lives as long as it's connected to that root. The branches. We just keep it on. I'm trying, Mr. Deborah.
Marquis, first, could you tell us where to find your book?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat. You can go
Thank
to
you.
Amazon.com to let me get a link right quick, and then I'll be right back.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Marquis, it's hard to express anything more than what folks have said themselves about what this morning with you has meant to us. I would just say your voice is like medicine. So thank you. Thank you for your voice, your teachings, your wisdom, and really your generosity. The abundance of what you shared with us this morning is going to, I think, unleash our abundance. So I cannot say enough about how beautiful this was, and what a better way to spend a morning dedicated to love. So.
I
Thank you.
appreciate this. This link is forthcoming in about 10 seconds.
Okay.
And I will just remind folks, next week, do folks see the link there?
Yeah.
Okay. Just make sure. Okay, so everyone is okay with finding the book. Okay. All right, wonderful. All right. Well, we'll look forward. Marcus, we'll just look forward to inviting you again. We hope that that might be a possibility in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I love the work we're doing here. It's good to see some familiar faces.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all
Yeah.
very much. Next week we'll practice.
Right. Good to see you.
Okay.
Thank
bye-bye.
you.
Next
Have a
week.
good week. Have a good week.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.